Well, welcome to this week's video. I'll just show you what I'm getting up to for little bits to start off with. So almost a bit like a video diary, so a bit of time lapse for Monday. Let's see what I get up to with the spars, trying to get ready to get this wing together. Haha! Okay, so here we are, Tuesday's bit. You saw the packing pieces bonded on, bit of extra glue, squeeze out. I'll leave that for an hour or two and I can scrape that off with a Stanley knife blade, sort of like that. Just rub it across. When it's a bit chewy, that gets rid of the majority of it, although you saw I had to sand the other bits where it was underneath the tape and I couldn't do that. We'll see what happens this time. If it gets chewy enough, I'll just peel the tape off and scrape out the worst. We've got the metal work on the other spars there, which is great. The metal work at the top end, they'll come off, and I had to modify this because my original plan was I was going to build the upper wing with the sweep, so and then cut off the bit so I could do the lower wing. Well, I've cut off this lower section. I've put this plate on so that at some point in the future this can all be screwed back together again and offset, so I can do the front, the top wing, and this lot will move to its relevant position. So they're screwed in. You saw I made sure they were vertical. Tomorrow's plan: drill holes through this lot and turn down the bushes. Let's hope. There we are, Wednesday. 2 hours carried out today. That puts us up to about 5 hours for the week. The tip reinforcers on for the lower rear spars. I've got to make up some triangular section to go into here to help support the ply rib that goes back to hold the aileron hinges. So this end is more reinforced on the lower spar than it is on the upper spar. The upper spar just has these little triangular blocks put in here, but here has a complete triangular section, half-inch triangular section put in, which isn't supplied in the kit as such, so I've got to cut and make that. Bushings in. These ones were a bit tight. I had to give them quite a tapping with a hammer to get them to go flush, or just slightly below flush on there, whereas the ones down here, they're just pushed in nicely. So plan going forward is to ream the bushes to make sure I've got all the bracketry can fit nicely on here on these spars. I can then put those spars away, and then we can tidy up the end of the table there, put those pots on the shelving ready for the last two ribs, and for the upper wing I can play with ribs going forward at a later date, and I can start to recheck that the table is level using the little adjusting feet. I don't know if that's focusing, showing you, but the little adjusting feet under there, and start measuring up to put these blocks in to support the spars. So I don't know how far we'll get, but that's what we need to do to move forward. Thursday, another 2 hours work carried out. You saw from the time lapse, hopefully it came out, you saw that I drilled and reamed the bushes for the upper rear spars, so they're out of the way now. I've got those out of the way. I've just got the spars on the table now which are needed for the lower wings, all ready to go. And also, hopefully from the time lapse, you saw that I went through, checked the level on the table, had to adjust one or two places. It was out by a very small amount, less than 0.1 of a degree, so but it's been adjusted, so that's all taken out. And then I marked up the table, so let's see if I can show you this a little bit better, what I've marked on the table. Hopefully that's showing. I've marked a line here. That's the front edge of the front spar, and I've marked a line here which is the front edge of the rear spar. And then at intervals I've put marks in, which is where my spar support posts are going to go for this particular way that I'm building. So if we look here, here's the example. My brackets which I put in place, that's a 5mm bolt, so it's going to be drilled and reamed out to 1/4 inch on the aircraft. So I've kept that 5mm because trying to get hold of Imperial is not particularly brilliant, and it just happens to be the hardware which I had around, so got that sorted. These bolts have been tightened up there, but with temporary nuts on, like all the metalwork's just got temporary plain nuts on. They'll come off because all this lot's going to come off anyway to be painted. So here are the posts. These are going to be put in with screws into the bench to hold everything. I did mess up a little bit. I put the block, this front face of the block in line with the line when I did the initial screw down, as you saw me do. So I had to take them off, move them this side because I want this face in line with that line there. Hey, we make mistakes occasionally. Take them all off, put them all back on again, make sure they're all true and square, so we're ready to go. I'll also check with the square going straight up from the line to the spar to make sure everything is perfectly aligned there, just in case there's a little bit of wandering anywhere. So I'll now start putting the spars on to this rack and I don't know whether it should have showed up. I had to cut down that post and that post by a little bit using the sander because they were just a bit too high, and this one had a little gap underneath it, so I had to build it up with some masking tape so it's at the right height, just a minor bit of shimming, and I checked all of them end to end, 0 degrees, absolutely spot on with the digital incliner. And then you might have just seen that I used the spirit level going across between the two spars, which I set to 0 this end, worked my way along and double checked everything was all the same from one end to the other. That's done. Next stage, well, I'm going to end up threading ribs on, rechecking everything again. These little shim pieces here just to bring out the slight gap which I've set up with this vertical, so that I didn't want it to be a tight fit on there, so I literally just shimmed it so that the front of the spar is in line here, along that line. Then seen, I've just rechecked to make sure the spars were level, that the angle from here to here was the same all the way down. These wings I've double checked, well actually more than double checked, I've looked through the instructions several times, and it basically says put the geodetic in the top, turn it over, block it so that it is square and level, and put the lower geodetic in. So in other words, there's no washout on these wings at all. I'm not going to actually take it off, hence my the way I've got things here, so I can actually reach underneath and put in the geodetic from above for the bottom face. I can actually, the whole idea is I can reach under here, I can put geodetic in and go from there. Right. I was thinking I was going to need to put something to make sure I kept the trailing edge of all the ribs exactly level, just in, you know, allowing for the slight differences possibly in the square section, but all the capping pieces for the ribs was spot on. So if we look down there, you will see that that is, hopefully if I get that like that, you can see that's a nice straight line all the way down. I've used a ruler and I've measured it, and the absolutely no deviation at all along the top surface. Maximum deviation, well, I mean the thickness of the line on the rule going all the way down, so I'm really happy. That's with the ribs just resting in place as they are at the moment. I will double check as I glue and I clamp, making sure that every rib is the same height, but at this moment in time I am ready to start gluing the ribs into place. Unfortunately I haven't got enough of this style of clamp. The smaller ones, you might have seen the one that's slightly smaller, hasn't quite got enough width, and so when I was trying to put it onto the front spar it kept on pinging off. So need the larger ones for the front spar, it's just too much of a gap. I've got enough of them to do all the trailing edge, which is nice. Let's see if I can pick up some more of the larger clamps tomorrow maybe, but having looked at the weather forecast I might be going flying, which is more important. Flying. Well, the camera battery died. Don't have quite enough clamps for doing a full wing at once, so I managed to do 5 ribs, working from the inside out. I will show you how I glue ribs when I do them, hopefully tomorrow night. Okay, it's Saturday, I'm back from flying, and this is going to be quite a quick video today because I've only got 3 ribs to do. I've done one already. What I do is to make sure I don't have a sort of bit of a guide to make sure the rib doesn't wiggle around too much. So I use a square, making sure I'm on the line at the top where I want it to be. With that there and the little clip on the bottom, I put another little clip on the other side. Then I can push the rib forward. I can work a bit of glue on this edge. Of the geodetic here, so that's what's going to hold the back edge in position. I'm not gluing the top yet because there's a small gap that's there, and that small gap needs to be filled with a small piece of wood. I suppose I could get away without, but I'm not really happy to. Then with the rib offset, as you can sort of see here, I can go down the edge of the geodetic again, but the gap on the top on the spar cap on this side is so much smaller. It's minuscule. You know, to try and make a wedge would be next to it'd be like a shaving rather than a wedge, so it's not worth it. So all I'll do is I'll just put a line of glue like that much. So a line of glue along the top there, and now I can line this up with that. I can push the rib back, and those little clamps at the back there are keeping everything nicely in line. I can put a clamp on here. Make sure it's pushed down so it's in its right position. Make sure everything is as I want it. Put a clamp on the bottom. Like that. So I now know that the rib is vertical. We're okay there. This little fellow held down, I can put that clamp's trying to fall to pieces, but hey, you can put a clamp in there holding it at the top. I can put a clamp in now at the bottom there. I can really check it's square with the square, hopefully. The rib is nice and vertical. It's down, and then, as always for me, I try to remove as much of the squeeze out as we can. Down here, same across the top there, and there we have it. Well, managed to get the those 3 ribs out there done, and 1 here, so that's the clamps done. So that's 4 ribs done today. And I've been just having a look at the plan for where the compression ribs go. That's nice and central on the half rib, so halfway between those 2 ribs. Same for this one, halfway between, which is great. This one is offset and there's no measurement. Looking at it, and looking at the position of the gusset there, I'm actually going to put it halfway between the 2, the same way as it is on the top. I see no reason for it being offset over like that. My good lady wife managed to obtain some more clamps for me, so I've got enough clamps to finish off gluing the ribs in on this wing. So that's all the ribs done, glued to the spars. Well, that's it for the week. I hope you enjoyed the sort of video diary bit with the time lapse. Hopefully that works. Unfortunately, the camera I use can be a little bit temperamental about the light levels. I don't know, I haven't looked at it to do the video editing at all yet. I've been too busy doing the build. So let's hope it's not the style which I'm going to be going forward with by any stretch of the imagination, but I just thought it'd give you a flavour of what I do with some of the repetitive tasks, like drilling the spars, putting in the bushings, which you've seen already, so I couldn't see the point of putting that into any great detail. I have given you some detail like how I fit the ribs. At least we've got a chunk of something that looks like a part of an aeroplane. Well, hey! 170 something odd hours in, 180 hours nearly I think, so yeah, about halfway through the build. Nowhere near. But anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Catch you next week. Bye now. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the thumbs up. You can subscribe or even hit the little bell notification for future videos. Any comments would be appreciated and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. Remember, go fly and feel the sky.